Welcome to Awkward. Yes, we are awkward, and so are you probably if you're watching this. Have you had an awkward moment recently?
Well, I had a bit of a kerfuffle coming in here this morning because, first of all, I double booked and forgot we were doing a talk on homeless street angels, which is the charity I run with my sister. So I had to quickly go do that, talk to a load of people, throw this hoodie on, swap my Homeless Street Angels hoodie and run here. But then I realised I haven't got a lip gloss. So I have had to run downstairs. I can't go without a lip gloss. I need a lip gloss. So I've had to run downstairs and buy a bloody £25 lip gloss just so I had a lip gloss to come and do this. So, yeah, it's the struggle is real, let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, on today's show, we're going to talk all about diagnosis, getting diagnosed, because we know a lot of you are undiagnosed or considering diagnosis, or you think a loved one really needs to get diagnosed. Because in the UK at the moment, it takes something like 12 to 18 months, which is a quicker pathway, right to choose. But there's loads of services now that you just cannot get diagnosed through the NHS. So it is a real nightmare. And Becky got privately diagnosed in the end, and I've gone through the NHS route because I like slow and steady.
No, because she doesn't do any paperwork herself and just leaves it there.
Yeah.
So I'm the person, my name's Krista, I'm the producer who's going to try. And I know they'll quickly go on to all the technical and they'll know every answer, as Becky does to how do you get people off the streets, how do you get them into a home, who to ring. Sophie, how do you be a journalist, how do you be a etc. But I'm going to ask them I keep having to ask them one simple question to set the ball rolling. Why, both of you, was diagnosis important to you? What stage had you reached where you thought, unless I have an answer, my life will be imploded?
So a big moment for me was the forgetfulness. I thought I was going mad. That is why I had to get the diagnosis. I actually went to the doctor and I thought I had Alzheimer's, early onset Alzheimer's, and I was so worried that that's what I had. I told my dad, I think I've got early onset Alzheimer's, and they did all the tests. Can you remember your date of birth? Can you remember your address? Loads and loads of tests. And I couldn't remember how old I was. Luckily, I've got a twin sister, so I rang Shelley and I said, Shelley, how old are we? You know, things like that. I forget my postcode at times, but this is all part and parcel of actually having ADHD.
So you were really worried, really concerned. And was it impacting your life with family, friends, your work?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The things I'd forget. You know, I'd get out the car and leave the engine running and go into Sainsbury's like it was perfectly normal. Loads of things, you know, that are quite serious, but you joke about and you laugh off. But I, myself, wanted the diagnosis so I could be medicated. A lot of people with ADHD autism don't want to get medicated, but to me, my explanation of the medication, in my head, before I started the medication, there's someone like this drawing all over the place.
Yeah, and that's somebody doing flips.
Yeah, and that's how my head worked. But now, people have folded everything up into neat parcels and put it into compartments so I can think a lot easier. I'm still quite as erratic, but I can manage to do things sort of in order, if that makes sense, more than I could before.
So your life, you couldn't cope with the life as it was?
Yeah. I didn't know whether I was coming or going.
Yeah. Sophie, what about you?
I think for me, it's been like literally probably since I was a child, I've been getting mental health diagnosis, like just clocking up on them. I think I just like a good list. I do like a good list. But nothing really properly made sense until it kept coming up in my mental health care. Have you ever been diagnosed? But the problem is because now what I realise, autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia had all probably led or contributed to me being in lots of vulnerable situations. I was always dealing with the last vulnerable situation in mental health help, so I could never get diagnosed growing up because I was either an eating disorder patient or an abuse survivor, or I was in a court case, or, you know, I was always kind of, because I'd been so traumatised, trauma can look very similar to certain things, so it was very hard and messy to unpick.
And that's probably why a lot of people get late diagnosis as well.
Yeah, and I think, trauma can be, it is a valid, and they used to say to me, no, trauma's just as valid as any other diagnosis. But it didn't make sense before all that. Like, I was still like it before all that. And I kept saying, yeah, but it's the nuances in life. It's the weird things that I really struggle with. It's not the big headlines. I'm okay with a headline because weirdly for me, it's easier to deal with really big problematic situations. It's the little things that
Any
organising.
disaster, I'm like, right, this needs doing, that needs doing, that needs doing. Last minute, this needs doing, that needs doing. But anything that's like normal, everyday thing,
Yeah.
it's boring.
I mean, Sophie, for example, you gave birth to Athena on the floor in your
Yeah.
living room unexpectedly without a fear.
I think you'll find she
Yeah.
was bouncing on a ball at the time.
Yeah, but
Watching
but
Peaky Blinders and writing handover
But
notes
you
for
were
my
on the floor.
Yorkshire Post job.
You did think that you'd got hours to go, and she
Yeah.
was delivered at home without. What I'm saying is, without a thought. That wasn't a trauma to you. It's just something that you had to do.
Yeah, you become great at multitasking.
But little things can throw you off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll happily. It sounds awful. I'll happily talk about being a childhood survivor of certain things, but then at the same time, I'll not be able to organise a cupboard, and that's the things that upset me. So I've got to display. I've got shoelaces on today, which I never have on, and these shoes, my friend made me them for my wedding, which was 2.5, 3 years ago. Can't remember when the anniversary. It's June 10th.
And you will see,
Yeah.
I've got matching shoes.
Yay.
Because I've also got OCD. So everything I wear, I panic if it's not. I have to have the right colour sunglasses, the right colour hoodie, the right colour bottoms, the right colour handbag. It's always got to match, which is also very stressful in life situations. But I also make the family do it, which probably they're not so keen on, but they do it. On holiday, we all wear the same colours every day, the whole family. Last year...
But that brings you, so what people might not understand is, for Becky, I can be like, oh, wow, you're amazing at doing that. But it genuinely brings Becky anxiety if you don't
it
do
does.
that, like
Even
it's
when I
bad
go out with
anxiety.
Sophie, when I went out, Crystal, I have to tell them what we're wearing. It's madness, but it does. I panic about it. 22 of us on holiday in Spain. One day all wearing orange, one day all wearing blue, one day all wearing green. So it's mad.
Whereas I'm just grateful if I've got shoes and knickers on. Like, that's his. Do you know? Like, I have genuinely, and they're the kind of funny but tragic moments. Do you know? Like, so not too long ago, because obviously we've got the kids at home, I'll make sure that they're all ready. And then I was out with my husband in the van, and then I realised I needed to borrow his shoes because I didn't have any shoes. So I was like, well, I can't go in a shop without shoes.
What, you didn't have any shoes on at
No,
all?
I didn't have shoes on because
you've got lots of
I'd got
shoes.
distracted with something in between my shoe putting on process. So then I just walked out without shoes. So often I don't put my shoes on anyway until I'm in the car, because for me it's too much brain ache trying to put on a shoe as well as everything else.
Well,
they just get
we
neglected.
just went to Venice on a family holiday, and my daughter were walking, through all the back streets, and my daughter went, wait a minute, I've got 2 odd shoes on. She had the same pair of trainers, I think it was Nike Air Max or something, but 2 different kinds and colours. So I said, well, she'd actually bought a left foot and a right foot of 2 different trainers. So yeah, it's just stupid things like that you just
you do.
Yeah.
So when it comes to diagnosis, obviously you got private diagnosis. Tell me how that works so people don't just think you're a posho when you're paying.
No, so the right to choose, I actually went through the NHS first, and it just takes too long. I'm waiting. So eventually my situation was getting so bad, my anxiety was getting so bad, it was actually the doctor that actually suggested going through right to choose. You can start off going through right to choose, which I'd recommend without all the NHS lengthy waiting times, and so yeah, it was the doctor that recommended it, and they did it for me, thankfully, because I wouldn't have done it myself. No, I didn't. It's a private service, but you don't have to pay.
So the NHS, they basically commission right to choose because they can't cope with the demand of people wanting all these diagnoses. And was that ADHD or autism or both?
Well, it was the ADHD. I didn't actually think I had Asperger's or autism. I just thought I had ADHD. But when I went to Psychiatry UK, I don't know if I said ADHD UK in the previous ones, but it's actually Psychiatry UK. Obviously.
We'll make our own organisation.
So yeah, it was actually the psychiatrist that said I need to put, after we'd done the assessment for the ADHD, he said we actually need to put you through for, I think you've got Asperger's. So I had to have another assessment another few months down the line, and that's how I got diagnosed with the Asperger's.
What were those assessments like?
So just questionnaires, a lot of family questionnaires, other people, outside people doing filling in questionnaires about how they perceive you, and then you do, it's either face-to-face, which I cannot do, so I did it online, and then you just, they ask you questions, they look at your body language, and from there, they'll let you know, they'll do the write-up and let you know what they think. But I forgot what I was going to say now, and it was terribly important. But yeah, that's another sign of ADHD. It'll come back to me, over to you.
But no, that's true, because I went to the NHS.
I've remembered, but go on.
Go on, go for it.
Right, so...
I know, because otherwise you'll forget.
I'll forget again in a minute. So, for younger people, my daughter, she was actually diagnosed at the age of 17, I think. But I had her in CAMS from 3 years old.
What does CAMS mean?
So, I couldn't tell you. Children and
children and adolescents mental health services.
Right,
Okay.
There you go. That's what CAMS is.
It's not children and adults. Children and adolescents.
Years and years of taking her to CAMS. All the signs were there. I mean, we used to go to the supermarket and tins would be flying across the supermarket. She'd be climbing up the shelves. She'd throw rocks at cars. She'd run off in queues. Just absolute craziness. She would actually have physical episodes. So she would have to have these episodes to get it out of her system, and then she'd just either go to sleep for like 15 hours or she'd just calm down completely. But I mean, like, the TV would come down the stairs, all the clothes would come out of the wardrobes, so it was very visible. And we went from CAMS for about 15 years before she was actually diagnosed. But if you have a child, that's the place to start.
Yeah, with CAMS, and then you have to wait a long time for CAMS as well. But it is worth the wait.
Yeah.
Sophie, your diagnosis route was very different. But but you've hinted in the last episode that you had some very traumatic, I'm not talking about personal, but the response to your, should we call it a condition? Should we call it just who you are? Because it is just who you are. Led to very serious issues like self-harming, cutting yourself, etc. Was there a time when you thought, this is now dangerous? Or did you just think...
I think when I was younger, I was unaware of how dangerous I was to myself, never to other people. So that was the main criteria. Because I wasn't a danger to others, I didn't like try and kill myself enough times to get the help. Do you get what I mean? It was like I never quite met the threshold. I never quite was low enough weight to get eating disorder help straight away. I was never...
Did you care, though, if you were here?
No, I didn't.
So you got to the point where living was too difficult.
You live in such a chaotic, and even now it still triggers me if people call me a whirlwind, because there's worse things that people have called me. But whirlwind, because everyone's called at me from a young age, like, oh, you're such a whirlwind, Sophie. Oh, you're so dizzy, Sophie. And I don't mind so much dizzy, because I do think personality-wise I am dizzy. Like, even if I'm on meds, I'm still dizzy Lizzie me. But it gets to the point where your life becomes so chaotic, or like with you and I, when you've got kids and you suddenly got people and a husband to look after and kids to look after, and you suddenly think, I can't just hide this anymore. I can't just go home and hit my head against a wall as much, or cut myself. Yeah, because there's chuffing kids there. I can't do that.
You say it with a smile. You've just used words that to anybody who hasn't been in that position, who hasn't actually felt that they don't care, because I know you are the most caring person, one of the most I've ever met, is that it almost got to a point where you just say cut yourself as if it was just part of your routine.
Yeah.
But it's
genuinely do
control,
think-
isn't it? Because both myself and Sophie, we used to, we both had eating disorders. I was bulimic, you were bulimic.
Yeah.
And it's a case of control. You know, you have to monitor everything you eat. And if you eat too much, you have to purge. And so the whole thing is control. So it is like...
And I think weirdly, the
natural
only
in
time
your mind.
I'd ever escape, and this sounds awful, my ADHD brain or my autistic traits, where it's just like things need to be done in a certain way, or if there was a change, you know, it can be a change. And I'm not talking about big changes in life. I'm okay with moving house, but do you know, if in my head I'm thinking those skating boards need cleaning, and then somebody suddenly goes, "Oh, you need to do that." That change could hurt my brain that much that it was easier to do something physically to myself, whatever that was, than to deal with the pain in my brain.
It's like a release, isn't it?
It gave me a bit of escape.
Yeah.
And that's why it's trying to find diagnosis was key, because it's trying to find more positive coping mechanisms. I was lucky, my husband's very fully, acutely aware of what certain diagnoses look like from his past. He's worked with a lot of people with ADHD and autism, and he was like, yeah, you definitely. And that helped me get the confidence to keep going with this paperwork. So I went through the NHS route. It was probably on and off for about 10 years, because I kept getting rejected from the local services because of silly little funding changes. So it was like, oh, you're married, so you don't meet this criteria, or, well, you've got kids, so you don't meet that criteria. It was really ridiculous. And then it just got to a point where it's like, well, what am I? And then I remember having a conversation with you. I'm like, this is ridiculous, because if I'm not any of these, what am I?
Yeah.
Because there's no way I can just live like this and this just be me.
You need
because
answers.
This is too much. It didn't match depression and anxiety alone. Yeah, they were a result of whatever I had going on in my head. But the ADHD one, ironically, I have a lot of paperwork, so that took me years.
But that's
to
another
complete.
thing there that gets me. You know, you've got ADHD, and they give you a load of paperwork to fill in.
I think
What?
that's the first test.
Honestly,
because
do you not know I've got ADHD?
Yeah,
You know,
because I had these forms they
It's
sent out for me
madness.
to complete. So they were literally in my bag a year. Luckily, they kept like reminding me, and they kept saying, it's okay, we're used to it. And then when I went to hand deliver, because I'd lost the address, I just remember them saying I tried to
With
deliver
coffee all over it.
Yeah, food prints. I then tried to deliver it to a veterinary care place. They're like, no, we're not the ADHD service. I think it must be the doctor. So I went to the doctors, and they're like, no, we're not the ADHD, it's this service. And then so I had to like ring a doorbell, and I was like, sorry, I know it says to post it, but I was like, I'll never get this to you if I don't hand deliver it.
But just think of the positives. In your brain, you knew exactly, almost exactly, where it was. You went in and you asked the question. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Instead of saying, well, I've lost the address, so therefore it can't happen. You almost photographically had taken an imprint as to where you should deliver it, which must, you know, and you're
But
knocking...
then as for saving the paperwork, you know, because they give you a free purse back. I didn't have that, so I thought I'll walk. I don't even know if I said to vets, oh, I'm sorry. I think because I was so focused on getting this letter, I think I might have just walked out, just like, go to GP.
it is madness. You know, there isn't enough support out there for people like us, you know, like we're some kind of alien. But no, there isn't enough support. It's so difficult. The stress of it, the anxiety of it, just filling in the paperwork, the same questions over and over again. You know, there just needs to be more support. Do you not agree?
So who helped you to do that, to fill... Becky, who helped you, first of all? If you're saying that you would have rather pushed that away because it would have also involved looking at yourself, who helped you?
I got to the point where I knew it had to be done, and I get to the point where I put things off, and I think, right, I'm doing it. And I'll sit up all night and do it if I have to do it, and I will not stop. Even if I need to have a wee, I think to myself, I can't have a wee till I've done this. So I'll do it, practically wetting myself, And then, you know, I will not stop. And that's the way my ADHD works. I put it off, and then I won't stop till it's done. And so with Sophie, I had to help Sophie and push her to do it, or it wouldn't have got done.
I think between you and my husband Danny, who were constantly encouraging me, and then even in between the appointments, because I found the appointments really, really difficult, all the different assessments.
Oh, it drained you, didn't it? She was crying afterwards. 2 days she'd have to rest to get over that as well.
Yeah, because one, I don't like talking on the phone. So then to feel like a guinea pig, I was online, I had an assessment, whereas moving around, and they made me sit down. I was like, oh, my day's sitting down. And then I had an assessment in person with different professionals. And there was so much to it, and then in my brain as well, I'm always going, "Oh, what they're trying to catch me out on."
Do you feel like you're being tested?
I'm just going to step in
you
as
feel
an
like you're being
outsider,
tested.
as an outsider saying, what kind of ADHD support group expects somebody with ADHD to, as Becky say, fill in the papers or sit still?
Don't know.
Yeah. It was lucky when I was in person. They were a lot better.
Exactly.
Where they said. You can move around if you need to move around. I was like, whoo, yes, Sonic the Hedgehog was back at you.
So you can push for in person.
Yeah.
And you found that easier.
Definitely. For me, the way the NHS works is they do a lot of it in person as well. So unfortunately, you have to turn up on time for those appointments.
In person. I'd rather do it online. I don't like meeting people.
Because I did go to a few wrong appointments at the wrong services in the wrong towns.
Oh,
and
I recently just went to a hospital appointment. Panicked that I wouldn't get there in time. Got there 5 minutes later and I said, is he still going to see me? She said, no, you're perfectly on time. And your appointment, you're a day early. It's tomorrow. So, yeah, even that's a nightmare, getting to an appointment on time or on the same day.
Yeah. And the thing is, what I'm probably not great at is, like, when they were diagnosing me and just saying, well, we'll write you. No, I need to know now.
Yeah, that is hard.
I can't not fully know. Well, we're very, very confident you do have these diagnoses. Yeah, but I need to know exactly why. And then, but then that's when I feel like ADHD and autism, like, it is a boxing match, because then my autism's going, but are you sure? Like, what about this? What about that? So even though I desperately wanted a diagnosis to make sense of my life, at the same time, I couldn't believe it, because I was like, yeah, but what if it's not? And then I think now there's so much stigma around autism and ADHD and any neurodiversity, where everyone's like, oh, everyone's got it, or you're just doing it for benefits or whatever. Have you chuffing tried to claim benefits all my days? I think I've got more chance of, like, I don't know, I was going to say eating a live
So
rat.
the lesson that you've both said is the system requires you to know yourself, know what you're good at. Becky says, I can't do in person. I am going to stay till 5 o'clock in the morning filling this form in, but only the last minute, only literally the day.
And then
it
I'll
needs.
clean under my stairs out whilst I'm doing it.
Yeah, so you'll stop halfway through, cook 100 meals for the homeless, then come back.
Yeah.
So if it's got spaghetti bolognese on it, excuse the mess. Yeah. But you, Sophie, needed to look at yourself and say, I can't sit still. I need someone in person who lets me have a freedom.
Do lunges while I'm walking around the assessment room.
You kind of have to look inward, know who you are before you find out who you are.
Yeah, because literally, like, if you ever, I wish you could see us two at home, because nobody would believe in it, would they? Because literally, I'm there. If anyone tries to, if someone says, I've got something to tell you, right? Okay, let's squat.
Yeah, start squatting.
I'm like, oh gosh. And the worst thing you can say to me is, I've got a story to tell you. No, just get to the point. Don't tell me a story. I don't need the beginning. I just need the middle.
While someone's telling you a story, you're telling yourself 10,000 other stories in your head.
But that's not very ADHD, is it? Because normally a story can have butterfly minds and still come back to the end of it. You have a need to know.
Yeah, I need to know
Now.
the headline now. And what is the point of a story if there's no headline? So I'm always like, that's why I think, in a weird way, and this is where it's a positive, is like finally finding my feet as a journalist, because my brain works in headlines. So I laugh things off because I just see it in my head like a magazine headline. Do you know? Like,
even when reading, I don't read. I scan it. I never sit and read. I just scan it, and I've.
Oh, do you know what I
memorised
used
it.
to tell the teachers to make them feel awkward? Because I'm mixed race, Chinese and English. And you said I need to read. I'd forgot about this. I didn't realise it was probably weird. I need to read a book back to front because that's the way Chinese people read, because they do read the other way around. But it's because I couldn't wait to the end. So
I often do that.
Yeah,
I get
no
bored,
point
and I think, right, I'll just see how it ended.
Yeah,
and then you feel relaxed.
Yeah. And then you just watch like the rest online, what actually happens in the book.
Every
or
year
whatever.
when we go abroad, I go to WH Smith's and I buy the pack of 3 magazines. Never have I ever even read any of them. I always come home with a pack of 3 bloody magazines.
That's what I do. And then I give them away. I think you need some self-care.
Honestly, why?
Because also I won't get rid of it. Because I'm like, magazines now are more than like an arm.
£10 for 3, yeah.
That'd be cheaper getting my teeth done in
that?
Turkey. Yeah, I don't know, because I do exactly the same. Or I take notes with me, factual notes. So even if I don't read them, so even my tutors at uni used to say, you really don't need to take your shorthand books on holiday, or you don't need to this. Why don't you just have a break? I'm like, no, I need my cue cards, my revision cards. And I never look at them. They just acquire more and more handprints and more dirt and scribbles and different things. But it was just, it's weird.
Don't
like,
get me
we're
started
on holiday.
on what you have to take. Honestly, you go out anywhere with Sophie. She's got the kitchen sink with her. She has a bag with like big bottles of drinks, crisps, snacks. Then another bag with spare clothes for 3 days, wellies in case it rains. Honestly, she's an absolute nightmare. And half of it gets left in my car when she leaves.
I know, because I actually...
Says the person, Becky, who just literally scatters. So you've got all this, etc. Becky scatters her possessions across. She's in 3 stories, top story to bottom. I mean, the number of times, where's my vape? Where's my this? Where's my bag? Where are my keys? Whatever. You're a scatterer, aren't you?
Yeah.
We like to just leave a trail of our presence.
Yeah.
It's like Cinderella on steroids, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like not leaving a shoe. I'm going to leave. Well, I left my husband's dirty socks in your car.
Oh, you did,
didn't
yeah.
I, as well?
At least it wasn't his underpants.
Yeah, well, you never know. You might be able to flog them online.
Yeah, no, you can always tell when we've been anywhere. Shelley always rings me. She says, can always tell when you've been in the office. The cupboard doors are open, the freezer's open. You know, it's just like... the word you don't like, a whirlwind.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it is funny, but then sometimes when when you're having a particular overwhelming period, it's really not funny to us, because we're
upsetting.
like, you kind of go, ha, oh, sorry, and then in your head you're going, you stupid idiot.
Yeah,
why? Do you get what I
why?
mean? Like, why can't I just take this bit away from me? Why can't I just be normal?
Oh,
I
the
cried.
voices.
I cried because I'd forgotten something in the nursery bag the other day. And my sign of me being a good mother to Athena, who's 2, is being able to do this nursery bag. Because that is my thing, what I'm not very good at. So I'm like, this nursery bag. So then it's weird little things. But like we say, there are positives. We're creative. You run a whole charity and help hundreds of thousands of people who are homeless and on the streets.
It does have its fabulous moments, and
Because
it is a superpower at times, but it just has its ups and downs. But yeah, get the diagnosis as quickly as you can if you think you're struggling, because honestly, it does help put things in perspective, and it helps give you coping strategies.
And do you find advocates around you who will support you through the process? Because it's long, it's grueling, and I do think you do need support, because it's really, really hard, because it is like a lonely place. But then when you get it, it just makes sense so much. Or even if you don't get the diagnosis and it's something else, at least you can understand yourself more. It's not about having an excuse. It's about being kinder to yourself and stop abusing yourself over what is all our brains being all colourful in different ways. It's about learning coping mechanisms. Yeah. Because you can eventually thrive.
Well, of course.
You just might not have
on
shoes
a
or knickers
Tuesday.
Next episode?
Next episode. Don't call me, I'll call you. We're talking all things communication.
Get me started.
Yeah.